Transition.
What up, guys?
Hey guys, welcome back. This is Beneath the Surface. I'm Nick the Red, and with me, as always, my partner in crime.
Tyler P. I don't have any fancy colors after my name.
Sad, really.
You know?
So, off of last week, um, we kind of talked about it before stream and all that, but we're thinking we're just going to take a break from Magic, from Star Wars, from card games, basically in general, and just kind of talk some nerdy stuff, you know?
Yeah. We'll leave the magic to tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow we have Swab and Dex come and join us at 7 o'clock on Twitch for our owner and a guest host. If Joey isn't going to make it, I'm not sure if he is or not.
I'm pretty sure Joey. I think it's Joey and a couple
Joey's
of his
gonna make
buddies,
it?
actually. It's going to be a four-man pod.
Oh, it's going to be four-man. All right,
some
cool.
proper commander.
Proper commander. So tune in for that next tomorrow at 7 p.m. What else do we got?
We got the Warhammer tournament coming up.
That's right. We do have the War Tournament at the end of the month, right? The last Sunday of the month.
So this coming Sunday.
This coming Sunday is going to be our Warhammer 40K tournament. Are we doing the doubles tournament again, or is it just
this is a singles?
Okay.
Next month will be doubles.
Gotcha.
And we're
okay.
full up already for this one.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that we have been just filling out the tables with how many people are interested. Because I remember when we could barely get 3 people in the store to play.
We could barely get enough to play like a game. Like it'd be like 1, maybe 2 people show up.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to touch on last Friday, we had our normal win-a-box. But the
Friday prior to that,
because it was the first Friday of this month was our liquor lock-in. So we pushed everything back, right?
Yeah.
So we had a pre-release, we did a lock-in, we pushed everything back a week. The second week in the month, we actually had our Tournament of Champions. And for any of you guys who don't know, what the store does is that the first Friday of every month, we have a win-a-box tournament. Basically, bring your most powerful commander decks, talking like CEDH leveled stuff, and you compete against everybody else in a double elimination Swiss for the chance to win a box of the most current set, the most recent set to come out, barring any kind of like side or specialty sets. It's the most recent standard set, right?
Normally, we've done it in the past where it's been a box of like a side set.
Yeah, we've done it in the past, but it's normally the most recent standard set. But anyway. And if you win that tournament, you get an invite to our yearly Tournament of Champions, which is hosted in April. So we just had our Tournament of Champions, and shout out to our winner, Will Pruitt.
I'm so glad. I love seeing one of our one
of our diehard locals and whatnot.
Yeah.
So congrats to you for winning the Tournament Champions. And taking home that collector box.
It was a collector box at Tarkir, too.
Yeah, it was a collector box at Tarkir.
That's a really good one to hit.
Good. I don't think I've seen one open up yet that's not been good.
Yeah.
Not had decent value in it.
It's just a good set.
But yeah, congrats to you, Will, for hitting that Tournament of Champions win. And we love you guys. We love you at the store. I heard recently he's going to be leaving us soon.
Makes me really sad.
So
I hope that's not true.
We love you. We'll miss you. And good luck wherever the winds take you. Moving on. We are decided not to talk about Magic or Star Wars or really any card game because we're kind of like overloading our library with a bunch of card games. So we decided, let's go back to like the original reason why we were going to start this podcast and just talk about nerd stuff.
You know, I just got to point out, for saying we're not going to talk about Star Wars or Magic, we both wore Star Wars shirts today.
I mean, gotta represent my favorite IP.
I mean, that's valid. I just think it's a little
Boba Fett too.
It's a little ironic. Yeah, mine's a...
Dude, I'm always wearing Star Wars shirts. You know,
that's true.
My closet is full of just Star Wars shirts.
I feel like, 9 times out of 10, it's like how I wear sweatpants almost every day. You just wear a Star Wars shirt every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, but, we decided take a break finally from all the Magic and Star Wars. And,
I mean, honestly, give you guys at home a chance to kind of deflate from the amount of Magic and Star Wars and Lorcana and One Piece and all the other great games. TCG games that we have.
Yeah, it's dense stuff, like, and it's very jargon heavy. I feel like when we talk about it.
Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to kind of veer away from a lot of what we've been talking about and kind of get back to what we originally intended to talk about when we started this whole thing, where we're just two two nerdy dudes kind of just sitting in a store, game store. As you can see, we've kind of got it all set up behind us for the thing that we're not going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
And
We can talk about that because it's not
I
the
mean,
card
yeah,
game.
but yeah, we decided to just kind of like relax and just be two nerdy dudes talking about our hobbies.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, I've been reading a lot lately. I've been having a bit of downtime in my spare time, which is fleeting.
I
Believe
get
me.
it. Tell me about it.
Between working two jobs and then
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the hunt for a house. So
Yeah. Congrats.
yeah,
Hopefully.
I'm finally pulling the trigger and trying to get myself a place.
Yeah.
So that's been taking up a lot of my time, but I have been able to read a lot lately, and I've been really hooked on Brandon Sanderson lately.
So
You
nothing has changed.
nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. I mean, I gotta say, like, I know we've talked about it a little bit in past, but like, Braden is the one that introduced me to it.
Yes.
And at first I was kind of like, I don't know, they're really long books, and I haven't really had a chance to like sit down and read. I still haven't finished reading Prince Lestat
Mm-hmm.
from the Anne Rice vampire novels,
Yeah.
because I read all of those back in high school.
Okay.
And then the most recent one had come out, and I bought it, and I have it in soft cover, and I got about two chapters into it, put a bookmark in it, and then I set it on the shelf, and
And
I
then it
hadn't
just sat.
I haven't
Yeah.
been able to get back to it because it's like I never had time, and then so with working and whatnot, I just really haven't had time. And mainly, like, I'm the kind of person that likes having the physical book in my hands.
I get that.
Right?
I used to be that way for so long, like especially like when I did a lot of reading, like middle school, high school. I had to have a physical book.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like I graduated high school, I really started. I worked like a full time job, a big boy job.
Yeah.
And then I realized, wow, I don't have time to just sit here and read a book all day. I really started getting into audiobooks then.
Yeah.
And it took a little bit of adjusting, but now that's how I get through a lot of books these days.
I mean, honestly, it's not bad. I had an Audible account there for a while, and I had a bunch of the R.A. Salvatore novels on audiobook, and I would just literally click them on, and while I was driving into work, and I'd listen to them on the way into work, I'd listen to them on the way out of work. It's kind of the same thing I did for the Critical Role on YouTube, is I would just turn it on while I'm driving, and then I would take about a week to watch a single episode, so I managed to get, let the show get far
just
ahead.
in time. Yeah,
same thing, same kind of deal with the Salvatore novels. It was a lot of the Drista Warden novels that I was just kind of listening to, because I have the collections. I have the Icewind Dale trilogy in the collection. I have the Paths of Darkness. I have the Legacy of the Drow collections, right?
Yeah.
So I had read through all those. I read through the later series and whatnot, and then finally I was like, man, I don't have time. There's not really a bookstore nearby, right?
No, I've noticed that. Like, from when I moved here, there's not.
Right. Like, the closest one I think is what, Barnes and Noble.
I think
down in Jax.
Yeah, that's like River City, which is about
River City.
Solid
It's either
20,
Barnes
30.
and Noble or Books a Million, one of the two.
Yeah.
No. The Books a Million is up in Brunswick.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah. It's Barnes and Noble is down, I think, in Jax, and then the Books a Million is up in Brunswick.
Either way, you're driving about 20, 30 minutes.
Anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes just to go to a bookstore.
Which is crazy to think, because that's about like 20-ish miles.
Yeah.
Right about. Either way, so it's a bit of a hike.
I kind of veered away from it, downloaded the Kindle app on my phone, and kind of just listened to the audiobooks, or the Audible on my phone. And then I kind of broke my own rule in the most recent, like, I think last Christmas, I bought myself an actual, like, paperwhite Kindle, and just jumped in with both feet on the Brandon Sanderson novels, right?
Yeah.
Because he told me about him. He's like, he was really big into them, and so I did some research, went online, looked up the order in which you're supposed to read the novels and whatnot, found the author actually putting out a video talking about his novels and the way you read them or how you read them and whatnot. And I bought the Kindle White. I didn't buy the fancy Wamidine $300 one. I bought the $100 one, so it has a smaller memory. And about half of the memory on that thing is just Brandon Sanderson novels, because I have the whole Mistborn trilogy. I've got a bunch of his standalone novels already that I haven't read yet. I've got a couple of his White Sand novels, and then I've bought the entirety of the Stormlight Archives that have come out so far, and I'm in book 5 already. So I've read through
which is
all of
impressive.
Mistborn, which is 3 books.
Yeah.
I read Warbreaker, which is a standalone, one of his standalone novels, kind of set in the same universe. And then I've read up to the 5th book in the Stormlight, and I'm currently reading through it, and
It's
it got
just
me
one of those
hooked.
series.
It got me hooked.
I still haven't jumped in yet. I'm still hemming and hawing because I'm trying to work through the Harry Dresden
You did mention that
series.
last episode.
I'm trying to remember who writes it. I feel so
Jim
bad.
Butcher.
Jim Butcher, thank you. I'm terrible with author names. Unless
I
it's
only
like
remember that
super
because
notorious
I
one.
remember the cover of the very first book. I think it's Stormfront.
Yes.
And it's just Dresden with his hockey stick and the fedora and whatnot,
Yeah,
and then
with his, like,
just
staff.
Jim Butcher right across it.
Yep. Yeah, that's the OG cover because they've changed it around a few times.
Yeah.
Because I know the audiobook has a different cover than the actual novel.
I got all the way up to about book 8, I think, in
I
that
am
series.
still on book. I'm like almost done with book 3.
It's good. It's a really good series.
Yeah. Book 2 was a little slow, but that's just because it was setting up so much for the future.
Right.
You
It's
can
a lot
tell
of
like
setup.
there's so many pieces being dropped along. Book 3 has been a blast. The only reason I haven't finished it already is just because my commute to work is only about 20 minutes.
Right.
So
right.
I get like a chapter basically.
You get about a chapter a day, like
yeah.
you can drive in, drive out.
Exactly.
I mean,
but
it's a good series, and when you kind of
is.
finish it, I mean, you're going to be months
Yes.
on a single Brandon Sanderson novel.
Correct. So
I will say, hey, thanks
Hey,
for
someone
that.
cheered.
What was that? Follow?
That was a follow.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
that.
Yeah. So, man, I wish that like it came up better so that I could actually like read
Yeah.
it.
I missed it myself. I feel bad. I'm going to assume
We
it
love you,
was,
random stranger. We appreciate you.
It's from Beard Chug Champion. He's asking me to. I will not chug the rest of my Mountain Dew. I am not a drink chugger.
No.
I can't pull that off genuinely. I don't think I can't even chug a bottle of water. That is a skill I never learned. I will take a good swig for you though.
Swig for the homies. But yeah. Did you ever watch the TV series they came out with?
Oh, what for
The Dresden Files?
I have been told about it. I never got around to actually watching it. I have heard nothing but mixed reviews.
I was going to say mixed reviews would be probably the proper answer for that because I enjoyed it. I actually watched it before I read any of the books. Before I even knew anything about
so you
Harry
didn't
Dresden.
have that
right.
Like air quotes tainted perception.
No, I didn't have any kind of preconceived notions about it.
Yeah.
And so I sat down enjoying it. I mean, and watching the actor. I used to watch the actor on something else that he did, but I can't remember. I can't honestly remember what the other show was that I watched him on. And then in the future, he was on Arrow.
Okay.
He was the police officer on Arrow that was the father of the eventually became Black Canary and then White Canary.
Okay, yeah. I can kind of see his face in my mind. I haven't watched Arrows probably since it was airing.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a hazy mental image there.
But I
jump up and do my job.
Do you have to?
I have to.
It's just Tyler. Who cares?
I know it is, but I still gotta check on him. Gotta check on
Tyler. Tyler, do you need anything?
Yeah, see, he needs something.
All right, hurry up.
So do you think?
Do my thing. Entertaining the internet. He always does this to me. Every time. It's sad, really. You're giving me abandonment issues.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. But anyway. So how are you guys doing out there in Mathemagic Land? I actually can't read anything that you're typing to me right now. But I'll be honest, like I liked the TV series well before I knew anything about, and he can still hear me. I'm not just talking to myself or you guys. I actually did like the TV series before I read the books, and then when I read the books, I'm like, oh, they changed a lot. Still, I don't think it should have been canceled.
Because as far as I understand about the TV show, it really only covered like the first book.
For the most
Which
part, it only covered like the first book, but it dipped a little bit into like book 2
okay,
because there
because
was a lot of setup in the later episodes.
yeah, to do because book 2 takes place only I think like a month or two after book 1. Like it's
Yeah,
a
something like
very
that.
short period of time.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Actually, no, I think it's like 6 months because it's enough time for everyone's injuries to heal and them to kind of reset a little bit to
Yeah.
where they need to be to go through more torment and pain.
Yeah. I mean, they cut it down a lot. I always thought that they were going to do something with Laurel K. Hamilton stuff.
That's
The first book was Guilty Pleasures. It was kind of like a vampire, werewolf, fantasy, fiction kind of setting.
I think a lot of the thing with like the vampire werewolf craze stuff, I think Twilight and
Yeah,
all
Twilight
that sort of stuff kind of just
killed it.
because I feel like for a while there, everything coming out was just like vampires,
Vampires, werewolves, witches,
Yeah,
supernatural
exactly.
stuff. I will say though, like I'd say the first 4 novels of that series. I forget what she called it, but
It's I think it's just called Twilight Saga.
no,
Oh wait, no, not that one.
Twilight.
I was like, wait for
No, Laurel K. Hamilton stuff.
Oh, that one. My
Yeah.
bad. I was like, Twilight. Yeah, Twilight was like 4 books. Yeah.
No. The first like 4 books of the Laurel K. Hamilton stuff was actually pretty like entertaining before it basically just turned into adult content,
Yeah, you know,
as you do apparently.
it makes money. It
But
makes money.
I mean, like they had a graphic novel for a while that I thought was pretty good.
Okay.
And the characters were really interesting, and the premise was really interesting. Like she was a like a modern day necromancer,
Okay.
and she for legal reasons,
Yeah.
lawyers would hire her to raise the dead
Yeah.
and
Oh,
get
so they could get
to
a
get like the
testament.
last will and testaments proper
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So that was what she was literally hired to do. And then she was like, she would like do investigations for the police, like help the police with investigations and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then the main like vampire character owned a nightclub called the Guilty Pleasures, which is where the title comes from.
Okay.
And then I think the main werewolf guy was kind of like a pseudo love interest, but he was it was very
Yeah.
like 90s, early 2000
Yeah.
kind of like novels for a while. So
Like that's just the energy that it
the
had.
energy that it had.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know, I mean, it's really interesting to go back just even a couple of years and look at like what was coming out at the time. Especially, I love looking at like YA novels because it captures so much like what was the big thing.
Yeah.
Like you go back,
Well, you know, like
almost a decade now.
did you know that True Blood,
Mhm.
the novel series that show was based on, was actually a young adult novel series
Yeah.
at first?
Yeah.
And then you go and watch HBO got their hands on it. It's like, oh, well.
That was actually a pretty good series. I watched most of it.
I thought that
I
was
thought it
pretty-
was
I kind of stopped after like the 3rd season.
That's fair. It kind of.
I didn't have HBO, so I was kind of
Okay.
watching it secondhand, and honestly, there were other things that were taking up my time by
Yeah.
that point.
I was going to say, for me, it's HBO is probably one of the few streaming services that I find myself using a lot.
Fair.
Just because like they get movies quickly. Because
Right.
who would have guessed? They're owned by Discovery. Or no,
No,
they
Discovery's like Disney.
no, because they're paired up with Discovery.
Broadcasting. Broadcasting.
No, I forget
I
who
don't
owns
know.
them.
I
think no, they're owned
Dude,
by
they're all
Warner
basically
Brothers.
owned by 3 companies.
They're owned by Warner Brothers. That's what it is.
I'm just saying, like, they're
pretty
all
sure.
basically owned by 3
Yeah.
different companies, and
But-
like they just have all of them
Anyway, point is, it's because
Point is-
they can get movies
faster.
immediately.
Right.
Like Dune
Yeah.
Part 2, I think, was up within like a week or two of it.
I
hitting the
used to have a
theaters.
login for it, but I don't remember what it is anymore.
Well, you know what? After stream, I can give you mine if you really want to.
No, he
to
can't.
use
That's
it.
completely against the.
Oh yeah, that is against the
user's
TOS.
terms
I would never do that.
and all that.
Yeah,
We
know.
would never password share.
What I would do is I would put it up on a TV that he happens to have access to, so that
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not
totally. You
password
could like come
sharing.
over to the house. We could watch a movie or something.
Yeah, and then I'll just forget to log out.
and just forget to log out.
You know, that's because I think that's fair.
Maybe he like writes it down so he can't, so he doesn't forget it, and then
Yeah.
accidentally loses
Leaves it
the paper
somewhere.
somewhere.
Oopsie. But a recent series I watched, while it's not per se a fantasy nerdy show,
Yeah.
The Pit. It's a really good medical drama. A la like ER, but
Okay.
if ER were like,
See, my mom was a real big fan of ER and Grey's Anatomy for that
my
matter.
my mother was a fan of Grey's Anatomy.
My
I've
mom was
never
probably
been
also like 10 years, 12 years older than you were. So.
probably.
Love you, mom.
But my mom was also like a huge fan of like House and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I grew up like watching bits of.
I used to
dramas.
watch House all the time. Actually, I've watched the entire series of House.
House was a good one.
It was an okay one.
But no, The Pit. I'm going through it with my girlfriend again because she hasn't seen it. I kind of proof watched it, I guess, because she's
Sure.
real squeamish.
Sure.
And it's a decently graphic show. They take advantage of being on a network that doesn't have the same restrictions. But man, that's compelling television, is what I gotta say. I don't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
I am very much like I will watch movies, or like I'll watch some anime. I used to say I watch a lot of anime. Now I don't watch as much.
I finally got around to watching Dan to Dan.
It's really good.
It's pretty decent, and it just ends.
Season 2 starts up in like a month or two. And it will
good. And I watched
pick
the
right back
I
up.
watched the first season at the perfect time.
Yeah. Dawn to Dawn is one of those series. This is where my anime weeb knowledge can come out. The dude who wrote it was an understudy of Tatsuki Fujimoto, who wrote Chainsaw Man.
And that explains why you're such a huge fan of it.
Well, not just that, but it explains kind of the very frantic pacing.
Right.
Because if anyone's like watched Chainsaw Man or read Chainsaw Man or Fire Punch, which is the other series that Fujimoto did, he is really good at just letting the pacing just have a break, just go breakneck, and it's like you blast through 15 pages every week, and you're like, I don't even know what's happening anymore. There's just stuff happening.
Just stuff happening.
And it works. Dawn to Dawn captures that a lot. Another person who understudied under him, actually, that's gotten very successful is Tatsuya Endo, I think is his name, who wrote Spy Family.
Okay. My daughter's actually watching through
Yes.
Spy Family right now, and she's loving it.
Yes, it's a fun little like comedy.
Right. It's that comedy slice of life, a little bit of action, a little bit of adventure.
It's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
No, it seems like Fujimoto, everyone that has worked under him has just been very successful, including himself. So.
I was gonna say, I mean, Fujimoto himself is actually pretty successful.
Yeah. Chainsaw Man is still very, very, very popular.
I had a fun fact I wanted to say, but then we got onto anime and I completely lost it.
Was it about medical dramas?
It was about House.
About House.
Yeah, I saw an interview recently where Hugh Laurie was talking to about
that he's
doing
British?
it. No. I already knew he was British. See, I knew Hugh Laurie from a little bit of Fry and Laurie. It was a bit comedy show that they had on the BBC, and it's hilarious but I mean, you have to like British comedy. I like British comedy. I find a lot of British comedy it's drier, sure, but it's still like there's still like really good punching moments.
It's timing based.
It's very timing based. Like I'm a huge fan of Mrs. Brown's Boys.
Yes,
right? I love that series.
We have sat down and watched clips and even full episodes,
and it's hilarious.
It's definitely funny.
Let me put it this way: my mother has no sense of humor. I love you, Mom. She watched that one clip that I showed you and laughed her ass off. Like laughed her ass off genuinely. It was so funny. But anyway, so I knew Hugh Laurie from a little bit of Fry and Laurie. Yeah. With Stephen Fry.
Okay, yeah.
And then I saw him on House. I'm like, oh, he's totally British. My mom completely didn't believe me.
Yeah.
Who did I end up watching that fully with? One of my first serious relationships. We watched. She was a big fan of House. She didn't believe me that he was British.
Oh yeah, it's
and I'm like, no, he's totally British.
And
then I had to like pull up clips of like old Fry and Laurie clips to prove to her.
A big one for me is I remember watching like The Walking Dead. Andrew Lincoln.
Yeah,
he does such a good like Southern accent, and then you hear him in interviews, very, very British.
Yeah. But no, the fun fact was that I was watching this interview with Hugh Laurie,
Mm-hmm.
and they asked him like, "So did it ever the American accent? Did it ever like just start coming easier? Like you could slip into it?" He's like, "Not at all." He's like, "I spent 7 years on that show doing that show." He's like, "It did not come to me easy at all. I had to consciously slip into it. He had to consciously think about every line that he said because it did not come naturally to him to change into that." But when you watch him on the show,
It seems so
it's
natural.
so natural looking.
And he has such a distinct voice for it too.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just sound like, generic, like, hello there. I would like
Right.
to pay with my
He's
credit
got
card.
like the cadence.
He
He's
has a
got
good
like a
cadence.
lot of the slang and whatnot. But
Yeah.
he said, yeah, he had to like practice the lines
And I think it's
for
also
hours.
I think it's also very impressive because a couple of the actors from the pit did an interview, and I was so shocked to hear one of them's Australian and one of them's like super British.
Right.
And they talked about how it's the added layer of having to speak with like medical jargon
Yeah.
and like all of these like super long like diagnoses,
Right.
and you're doing it in an accent that isn't your own without letting it
I
slip.
mean, it's talent.
Yeah, it's impressive, and I think about that with House too because their House is one of those great shows that does what a lot of medical dramas do, where it's everyone has the rarest disease ever or
Yeah.
the rarest condition. It's never something simple. No one ever comes in and is like, hey doc, I got a headache, and he's like, oh, you just got a hangover or something. No,
Well, that was the whole point of House.
well, yeah,
That was his whole job, was like he only took the cases of like the rarest conditions.
yes. They
which is
just
why you
happen to
just saw
always
all
show
the
up
time.
at his hospital.
But you remember he still did his rounds. Like he still
Well,
did
yeah.
regular rounds in the ER where he had to like treat just the most mundane things.
Yeah, but as the series went on, it became less and less of a focus. I mean, the
Right.
medicine became less and less of a focus.
That's
after,
true.
in
It
the later
became more
seasons.
about the characters
Which,
at that point,
you know,
which it happens.
It was still good. I
Mm.
feel like,
Um,
but yeah, it's it's a good show. I think
the pit.
the
Yeah.
pit and the house both are good shows for different reasons.
Yeah. There was
Um,
there were a couple of side, curveballs in that show that just kind of took
Yeah, oh,
you
yeah.
by surprise.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just like, Jesus.
I'm trying to think of any other shows that I've watched recently,
Recently,
or even like the past,
no,
like,
not
year.
really. Honestly, like I don't, like you said, I don't really watch TV.
Yeah.
I mostly just stream stuff. So
Yeah.
if I see something online that I find is like interesting, I'll see what streaming service is on, and that's kind of how it's become
Yeah.
lately. Is that it's just streaming service after streaming service after streaming
Yeah.
service.
I mean, that's just what it is. You bounce around stuff and
Yeah.
try what you can. I watched the Devil May Cry show on Netflix recently.
Hmm.
That's something I watched. It was fine.
And see, I feel like that's kind of the way that TV, a massive air quotes TV,
Mhm.
has kind of become lately. It's kind of slipped into this whole like, it's okay, it's something to watch.
Yeah.
I don't think I've found a show that just hooks me so hard that I want to watch
Yeah.
the entire series, or I want to keep coming back. Like, okay, the last show that was like that was The Mandalorian.
See, and
Because I'm such a huge fan of Star Wars, but that's probably where it came from. But
Mhm.
I felt like the pacing of the show was really good. I felt like the framing, the filmography was really good. The
Yeah.
music was on point. The characters were interesting. There was a couple of dud episodes, I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie, but there was plenty of life in that series,
Yeah.
and it kept me coming back every week.
That's you mentioning that, a show that I've been meaning to get to.
Hmm.
And I think I even watched the first episode when it first was coming out, and then I just never picked it back up, was The Last of Us. Because
Yeah.
I loved the first game.
Yeah.
Second game, that could be a podcast of its own talking
Sure.
about it, because there's so much to unpack with that.
Mm.
Uh,
I never played the first. Okay, that's a lie. I played the first game for all of 10 minutes. The first thing that happens in that
Yes,
game.
it's
Spoiler
pretty-
alert for like a 10-year-old game now.
I think it's older than that. Now.
Older than that now.
It might
Jesus.
be. I think it might have been pre-2010.
Okay.
No, because it was PS4. No, it
Yeah,
was PS3.
It was PS3.
It was PS3 games. That was probably pre-2010.
Okay, so a game like 20 years old now. The fact that Joel's daughter is shot to
Yeah,
death
and she
in the very
dies.
opening opening sequence.
First like
and
20
I'm just
minutes
like,
of the game.
nope, thanks, but no, I don't.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't want to play. It just, and it's not so much that I'm like so about like
Yeah.
child murder, children dying or being hurt and whatnot.
Controversial opinion. Child murder is
Controversial opinion.
bad.
No, but I'm saying like in media,
Yeah.
like when kids get hurt or kids die or
Yeah.
something. Like, I'm not usually a person that's like really super sensitive about that, but like watching that or playing through that and just I had a stepkid at the time.
Yeah.
I was there when she was born. I was helping raise her, and it hit me so hard in the gut that I put the controller down and walked away.
I get it.
I couldn't do it.
Going off of when the game came out, that was probably about the time that your kid was born.
My daughter was born in 2014.
2014.
Yeah, my daughter's only 10, dude. But no,
time is all relative. Like
no, but I had a stepkid before her
Okay.
that I was there for back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
That that was still my kid, and like I said, it was just a gut punch that I just was not expecting and just could not keep playing the game. And then I tried later, like a friend of mine had gotten all the way through like part of that part and then was like, here, give it a try. Like tried. I'm like, I don't really want to play the game. He's like, no, you should try it. It's a fun game. And I was in a scene, I think it was in a mall or something, and I was like moving through a mall and had to avoid like the zombies in the mall or something.
Yeah.
And the gameplay was fine.
Yeah.
But it wasn't one of those games that just grabbed me in the first 10 minutes and didn't let go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where I am with movies, with TV shows, with video games. If it doesn't grab me within the first, reasonable amount of time, first 2 episodes of a TV show, first, maybe first 15 minutes of a movie, first 2 episodes of a show.
That, what's interesting about that is because
maybe first hour of a game.
Yeah. What's interesting about that is studies are showing that time for most people is getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
Right.
Because people are so used to like short form content. Right. So using, like TikTok, Instagram Reels, all that.
Makes sense. I find myself dead scrolling on TikTok every now and then.
I try to be really good when I go to movies because I still like going to the movie theater. I still think a movie theater is the best way to enjoy a movie. Yeah. I will die on that hill.
No, I agree. I agree that the movie theater experience is so quintessential. Like,
yes.
It's our generation.
It's enhancing a lot of the time to a movie.
Right. Especially when you go to like IMAX or one of those like nice big theaters, like a nice big theater.
The last time I went to an IMAX, I was in Texas for a wedding, and we had like a free day between everything. Yeah. Met up with one of my buddies that I play Final Fantasy with online, actually. Me and my girlfriend did. Yeah. And we went and got food, and he was like, hey, let's go see a movie. And because there was a theater right there, we saw Into the Spider-Verse in IMAX.
Oh, okay.
And that wasn't that long really ago. Cool. Yeah, it was only like 2 years ago. But, I mean, comparatively, how often do people go to IMAX?
The last IMAX movie that I went and saw?
I don't even know where there's an IMAX theater around here.
And it's like in Jacksonville.
Of course it is.
Everything is in Jacksonville.
Everything is in Jax or Brunswick.
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. I think it might have been First Class. X-Men First Class. I think that might have been a while ago. Yeah. That was when I was graduating high school. It was it was after prom. I took my date to X-Men First Class in IMAX and paid for the whole thing. Thought I was a big baller.
Yeah, because IMAX is pricey. It was pricey.
It was like $15 for a ticket.
Which that used to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, that's just a ticket price.
But that's one of the reasons, that experience is one of the reasons why I have a projector in my living room.
I've thought about it, like, because obviously I don't have my own place right now.
Sure.
We're working towards that.
Yeah. Hey, me too.
Yeah, right. I've thought about setting that up once I have my own space.
I think it's worth it. I genuinely do. My roommate bought an $800 projector. I bought like a $120 projector and set it up, and it was cool. Like we watched the Mando, watch movies, and you get that, like, especially if you have like a large wall that you can project
a large
on.
White wall to project onto.
We did that, and we loved watching movies. We'd have watch parties at our house and things like that, and we have a popcorn maker.
Oh, so you could really get the...
Oh, yeah. So we did popcorn maker. We'd go right down the street, because we live right off of, like, Gross. Yeah. Right? So straight across Gross is the shopping center right there, and there's a Dollar Tree there. Yeah. So we would go and get friggin' movie theater candy.
Oh, yeah. It would be in the same boxes.
Same boxes. Go and get the movie theater candy back when it was $1 a piece, not $1.25 Dollar Tree.
How dare you?
How freaking dare you?
Awesome.
And then yeah, we'd go back home, pop a big old thing of popcorn, and just sit there and eat popcorn,
Yeah.
eat movie theater candy, and watch, watch movies on the projector. And now, like I said, with that $800 one that
I
he
mean,
put
I'm
up,
sure
like
that looks
it's
nice.
dude, it's on point.
Which actually I've seen when I've been to your
Yeah,
house
you when you
before,
came
like
over
when
to
you're
the
running
house when
D
we
and
were
D
doing
and
D and
stuff.
D, like
And I
we
mean, you
put
have
everything
everything
up on
projected up on
there.
the wall, and that was nice. Like,
Yeah,
that's a nice setup to have. Yeah, that's something I've thought about. My father, uh, back before he remarried and everything,
yeah.
when he was single and living in an apartment, he had a projector set up, and I remember that's how he would watch stuff all the time, and it was nice, you know. I don't
Yeah, I
think he
don't
had
even
a
have a
nice.
TV in my room.
Yeah,
I literally have that $120 projector sitting up on my dresser, aimed at the wall across from my bed, and then I have a Fire Stick. I just
yeah.
plug it into the projector, and if I want to watch movies or
You
something, I
just
go
go
on
through
there.
that. Yeah, well, I don't have a TV in my bedroom. I just have a computer,
I'll be
and
honest. A buddy of mine used to talk about like his golden rule is like the bedroom is for sleeping and fun time activities,
yes,
and not for
nothing
like
else.
TV watching and work.
Yeah,
He's like, that should be your respite. That should be someplace you go to relax,
yeah.
not do other things. And I'm like, yeah, but when you don't have
It's all
like
about
an
space.
office space, or you don't have a game room, or
Yeah.
your living room is not very big, like
It's
the place I went by today that I looked at, it was actually really nice. It's got some work needed to it, right?
mhm.
But it's a decent price. They were asking for like 260
That's not
for it,
terrible.
which ain't terrible. It's a 4 bedroom, about 1760 square feet.
Okay.
So it's bigger than the place
Yeah.
I'm living in now. It's got 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, attached 2 car garage. It's not sitting on a very big lot, so but I'm okay with that
Yeah.
because that's less yard that I have to work with.
Correct.
And that's a big thing is a lot of people around here are like, I want to have, a half an acre or more,
Yeah.
or blah
No,
blah blah.
not me.
No, I don't want to have that because I don't want to have to be the one to mow it.
Yep.
Um, but it's really nice, and like the bedrooms are really big. Like the master bedroom's really good sized. The secondary bedroom is really decent size. It has an office space that's not included in the bedrooms. So
Okay.
it's a
So it's like a true
separate
dedicated
office, yeah.
office space.
And it's a split bedroom design. So the master bedroom's off the kitchen, and the other bedrooms are on the far side. And it has vaulted ceilings in the living room,
Yeah.
and it's a very open concept. So like, I was sitting there just imagining what it would look like with all of our crap in there. Um, redo the floors and
Hmm.
whatnot. Like I said, it has some work to do, so I
Yeah.
might make an offer at like 230
That might
and
not
see
be a
what they
bad
say
idea.
about that. If they're not willing to fix a lot of the cosmetic stuff, the
Yeah.
damage and whatnot in the house, come in at like 230 and be like, hey, I'll fix all the
But
damages,
I need a little
but you need
something,
to come
something.
off the top.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes from
Yeah.
there.
Hopefully it goes somewhere good.
But yeah, no, they it's nice big open wall. We can hang the projector on the opposite wall and get that
Yeah.
set up in the living room and whatnot. Um, all in all, it's in a great neighborhood. It's right down the street from my daughter's school, so
Perfect.
she could walk to school.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean a little bit of exercise, and I don't have to worry about her running out the door for the bus or anything like
Yeah.
that. She could leave the house at like 7:45 and get
And
to
get
school
there.
on time.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome. I was when
a
I
little bit of insight on my life.
yeah, right. Well, when I lived in California, this was years ago,
I'm
God, like a
sorry.
decade now. That was actually a lot of fun. I'm
I was
really
gonna
glad I
say
lived there.
30-ish years ago, I lived there.
Yeah, this was about about a decade ago. Yeah,
Oh,
because it was
Jesus.
little over a decade actually for me. But I walked to school
Mm-hmm.
when I started high school. I was walking to school, and that was
That's a big thing.
yeah, it was interesting because it was that added thing of like up until that point I always rode the bus. Living in the
Mhm.
state of Georgia,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you don't walk anywhere.
No,
This is not a walkable state.
not really.
You
Everything's so
are
spread out.
yes, and they just don't build sidewalks.
It's fair.
Like
Yeah, I've
even when
noticed
you're
there
in like
really aren't a
even
lot.
when you're in a more urban part of a town,
Mm-hmm.
you have like it'll be like half mile of sidewalk, 2 miles of nothing, and then the sidewalk
Right.
starts up again.
Right.
It's just bad.
I mean, it's getting more and more
infrastructure and
developed
city
down
planning.
here, honestly.
It is. It's rapidly developing down here, which I'm really curious to see how locals, like the old timers, deal with that.
I don't care what they think.
I mean, that's valid, but I'm just saying I'm curious because where I came from originally, saw a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Where I grew up was a small town called Loganville, Georgia. Shout out to any of my Loganvilleites or whatever. Logan Villians. I don't know. Logan Villains. Whatever.
I don't have a hometown.
Oh, Navy brat.
Yep.
Yep.
We moved around so much.
I call it my hometown only because it's where I lived the most. I lived there on
I mean, if we're going by that metric,
occasions.
I lived in Virginia and Hampton for like 12 years.
See, so call it a hometown.
Yeah, sure.
Gives you a base.
Uh-huh.
But Loganville. When we first moved there, when I was like little, there wasn't a Walmart. There was not anything. I think the only grocery store we had was an Ingles.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh no, the Publix was new. The Publix
Publix
was very new. We had a new Publix. But it was mainly the Ingles.
That reminds me of Saluda, one small town that I lived in that didn't. That the closest Walmart was a 45-minute drive.
Our closest Walmart was about a 30-minute drive.
Yeah,
So
no.
and then they opened a Walmart in town. This was in like the early 2000s, and it was a really big deal.
Oh my God! Like when the Dollar General opened up in Saluda, people
That's
like
a big
flocked
deal.
there.
And now that area is development hell, is what I would call it, because it's a small town and it's trying to maintain that identity.
Right.
But I think they just put in their third new shopping center.
I was gonna say they're like fighting off development and
because
whatnot.
you know there's
All
now
the way around it is like super
Yeah.
developed, and then you still have this like
like the
homely-
inner city is
yeah.
like we're still small, but then it's like there's like a Hardee's right next door.
You're kind of off screen.
Oh, am I? Let me
Just a little bit.
just a smidge. I'll bring it in a little bit.
There you go, bringing it in.
Try not to avoid you too much, but no, it's what I think the last time I went up there is a couple years ago. There was they just put in like a Lowe's, like a PetSmart, all sorts of like it's a proper
Like chain stores.
Yeah, it's a proper town at this point. I don't know how
Yeah.
else to describe it. Like, it's
That's
somewhere
fair.
that you can persist without having to go out too much.
See, and that's how I kind of felt about Kingsland when I first got here.
Yeah.
I got here in 2013, and it was very like small town, rustic. You know, staying with my parents out in the middle of the woods, basically is what I felt, because they live way out there in at the far end of Clark's Bluff.
Yeah,
so it's like
okay,
right there
yeah.
on the Florida border.
Yep. Okay. I
And
know
it's
exactly.
just like like it's just woods.
Yeah.
Like to the point where Google Maps did not even register it as an actual place.
Yep.
And just over the last 12 years, I've been here. I think I've been here longer than I lived in Hampton. It's crazy.
It's a crazy feeling, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But yeah, just seeing like all this area like develop up and
Yeah.
whatnot.
It's interesting to see, and then you just start to deal with the ramifications of that, and that's where it starts to be a nightmare. Because I can tell you right now, living here long enough has made me really
Got some
hate-
chats?
nothing new.
Nothing new.
Nothing new.
Is that a bot?
Of course, there's a bot.
Of course,
I
there's
can't
a bot.
deal with it.
I
wish
hate
I could.
bots.
Bots are annoying. Old AI. I hate AI.
Skynet is coming for us.
Skynet's coming for us.
I,
but-
for one, like to welcome our new robotic overlords.
Yeah, going back up to Atlanta, that traffic's brutal. You dealt with it
I dealt with
recently.
it recently,
It sucks.
and it caused panic attacks.
It sucks.
It sucks. I hate it. I'm so used to living in like a rustic town and not being in the middle of the city anymore that I've just gotten used to being able to drive and not have to worry about somebody smashing into me.
Yeah, today was to describe small town living. Today I had 5 minutes added on to my commute to work because I had to stop to let a family of geese cross the road. You know, that's small town living for you.
Small town living.
Some guy got out of his car and was like directing traffic to let these geese cross.
Okay.
A bunch of little baby geese. That's just part of living.
And Canada gooses. You gotta respect the Canada gooses.
To get more onto a nerdy topic and not just talk about
life in general.
life, I picked up Warhammer Rogue Trader, the
Did
video
you?
game.
How is
It
it?
was on sale. I have not booted it up yet, but I bought it.
Oh, okay.
I downloaded it last night. I've heard nothing but good things.
Same. I've seen the reviews on there are mostly positive and whatnot, and a lot of like the negative reviews are either just like
I can't run this.
one word reviews, or like I didn't read the specs on this before I installed
the classic
review. I haven't. I've heard good things about it. I'm not big on the Rogue Trader lore.
It's
I know it's like it was the precursor to Warhammer.
Yeah, because Warhammer, all of that stuff started as like a TTRPG for the most part.
Right.
Because they used to write modules, I think, for like D&D.
Yeah. They did. I think they worked on like some of the Monty Cook stuff.
Yes, and that's where the Games Workshop started, and then they just kind of slowly branched off into their own full thing.
Yeah.
Um, I know that according to my friends, like all the characters are really good. And apparently the DLCs are really good. The DLCs are kind of expensive.
What kind of game is it?
It's an ARPG, so think like Baldur's
Okay.
Gate. It's like Baldur's Gate 3.
So like Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I assume it's going to have the same problems that I think Baldur's Gate has, and every ARPG has, where Act 1 is going to be like massive, and there's going to be
Right.
so much stuff to do.
Right.
Then as you progress through the acts, it's just going to narrow down to
narrow
this
down
point.
to like the very basic of the story, like sticking to the story, not a whole lot of side content.
And I think that's one of the few gripes I have with ARPGs. And I think just a lot of RPGs in general is they front load the games a little too much.
Well, not JRPGs really.
Well, JRPGs, everything's backloaded because you got to get max level to
that first bit. Like the Final Fantasy series is renowned for. Is like the first bit is so like narrowly
just do the
focused,
story,
just do the story, just advance the plot, and then when you get to like the third act, then everything the whole world opens up and you're running around trying to do every side quest,
and you're just like burning. You have to churn through stuff. Final Fantasy VII Remake was a good example of that, where the first couple hours, it's really just
I'm still kind of in the first couple hours. I just got to the point. Where they decided to infiltrate Shinra HQ and rescue Aerith.
Oh, I thought that you were done with it at this point.
No, I kind of took a break from it because the ADHD was kicking in really hard.
Fair. JRPGs have the issue of, especially modern ones, because now they can do cutscenes.
Right.
And that was a blight upon gaming, was to give JRPG creators the ability to do uninterrupted cutscenes.
Perfect example of this, right? I might get some flack for it from our anime fans out there.
I'm so excited.
I actually enjoyed Sword Art Online. I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought, it was one of the first like trapped in a video game stories that I watched.
Okay.
The little side story they did where it was the alternative like Gun Gale.
Yeah,
right?
that actually was pretty good.
Gun Gale wasn't bad. But that whole little block of, I guess it's season 2. Season 2 or season 3? No, season 2
of the main series when they went to Gun Gale. That was season 3 when they.
Was it season 3? I thought
because season 2.
I thought season 3 was like Alicization.
I guess it depends on how you break up the seasons.
So Sword Art Online season 1 for me, how I define it is from.
Do you put Aincrad and Elfheim together into one series? Into one season.
It's basically from the beginning till when they beat the final level of the dungeon and they shut down, they free everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's season 1.
Okay.
Season 2 is when they pick up with Elfheim, and then the whole like Asuna is still unconscious or whatever. That's like the beginning of season 2, and then I feel like the Gun Gale arc is like the second half of season 2.
Well, no, because the way that worked is, so episodes 1 through 12 were. Aincrad, the original game that they played.
The original game, yeah.
John's Sword Art Online moment. And then the second half of that season, episodes 13 through 24, were Elfheim.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
So then they took a couple years break, and then they went to.
See, I always felt that was 2 seasons.
Gun Gale. That's why I was saying I consider them 2 because they're 2 different arcs.
Right, it's 2 different arcs, and it ends at episode 12 with like the completion of the whole thing. Yes. They free everybody. And then he has control over the framework of the whole game, and sends it out into the internet.
Yes, and then
when he gets free and he wakes up, he realizes that Asuna is not woken up yet.
Still stuck in there because of
of very creepy,
the creepy dude
fiance shenanigans.
Yeah, and then the weird thing with his cousin sister.
Yeah.
Person. Yeah.
Anyway,
series.
moving on. So yeah,
You're
no, I
aloof
always
of
felt like
anime.
that was the end of the first season, and then the second season picked up after that with Elfheim, and then the conclusion, not really the conclusion
Yeah.
of Elfheim, but like Gun Gale Online kind of was the beginning part of season 2 or something like that, or like it was like the
It's
end part of it because he
it's
like
the
jumped games
third.
and met that blue haired chick,
Yeah, Xenon.
Sinon. Yeah,
I'm
Sinon.
so mad at myself that I can remember this. I haven't watched
Good for
or
you.
read Sword Art in a long, long, long time.
Right.
Uh,
Anyway, all that diatribe
Yeah, anyways.
just to talk about this video game that I wanted to talk about because we
Okay.
were talking about cutscenes.
Yes.
And yeah, so I got Fatal Bullet, the Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, which was supposed to be set in Gun Gale Online.
I've heard the games are actually pretty good.
And I literally spent the first 20 minutes of that game watching cutscenes.
I see you've never played a Hideo Kojima game
And
before.
I hated it. I hated every second of it. And it's unskippable cutscenes.
Yep.
I would literally get one thing done,
And then you would watch
and
20
then
minutes
right
of
back
cutscenes.
into another cutscene and another like 10, 15 minutes of cutscene.
I see that you never played Metal Gear Solid 4.
No,
or,
I stopped after Solid.
like
After
like, 1,
no, no, yeah, Metal Gear Solid.
the one that was on PS1.
Yeah, I stopped
you
after
missed
that
out
one.
on some amazing video games.
No, I disagree. I dodged a bullet.
They're so good. They're
They're
so
really-
it's weird
They're
Hideo
really
Kojima writing.
They're really over the top.
Well, it's Kojima is a film fan through and through.
Mm.
So he does so much in like this love letter to like action movies.
Sure.
I
I get okay. So look, I'm not hating on it. It was not my bag. At the end of the day, it was not my bag. I played the first game. It was a little stealth combat game. I remembered the original NES game.
Yes.
Metal Gear. And it was like, oh, this is like a sequel. And like they're like, no, it's not a sequel. It's actually happens way before that game because Metal Gear is the most latest one in the series or some shit like that.
Metal Gear happens before Solid.
I'm pretty sure that's the other way around.
No, because
oh no, that's right. You're playing Big Boss in Metal Gear.
No, you're still playing a Solid Snake in Metal Gear.
That's not the same guy.
It's Solid Snake.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is because you're fighting Big Boss, but it turns out to not actually be Big Boss. That is Venom Snake.
I'm about 2 seconds away from pulling up Google on this thing just to prove you wrong. But I don't want to take up. I don't want to take up internet time.
No internet time.
Get on that. Get on that. Prove him wrong.
I know we have at least like a person watching. Yeah, it says we have 2 of them watching. So
and
one of you
a bot.
2. One of them might be a bot. I don't think the bots stick around and watch. I think they just post a link and dip.
I mean, our viewership. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them were bots.
Heck yeah, it makes me so happy.
They're
gonna make crazy AI versions of us one day.
Either way, I was not a fan of the Metal Gear Solid or the Metal Gear series. It was not my bag. I didn't really get into it.
Another game that has extremely long cutscenes, Final Fantasy X.
I agree.
They're also unskippable.
I agree.
Even in the remake.
I will say that it was
remaster.
10 always to me kind of felt like a demonstration of what the technology could do.
Sure.
Because like the cutscene in the very beginning of the game when Tidus is like just sitting there breathing heavy, and then all of a sudden the lightning happens, and the sphere shows up, and he like falls into it and whatnot. Yeah. That was really clean.
It looks clean.
It was
especially
very good.
Because that came out in what, like 2003, 2002?
Yeah. Right around there, yeah. Because I know I was either graduating from high school or just right on the cusp of it.
Yeah, because I know it came out around the same time as like Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah.
Which also had like some pretty groundbreaking technology.
Well, yeah, because like a lot of the characters in 10 show up in the first Kingdom Hearts game. Because it was a Square Enix, and it was the most recent Square Enix project.
Kingdom Hearts is majority FF8 characters.
It's a lot of FF8 characters.
Because you see Rika and Squall.
I don't remember Rika being a Final Fantasy.
8?
No.
She 10?
Riku?
Not Riku is the actual dude in Kingdom Hearts. Pretty sure her name's Rika.
No, you're talking about the Albed chick. Anyway,
I don't know.
Yeah. I know Sephiroth and Cloud are in that.
Yeah, they show up a lot.
And then I'm pretty sure you see Wakka.
You see Wakka. Wakka is 10. I know all day.
Wakka's definitely 10.
Yes, Wakka is on Destiny Island with you. Or
And so is
Yeah.
Titus, even though they say Titus, and I hate
Titus.
how they pronounce that.
I still say Titus.
It's Tidus, Titus.
It was Tidus.
I'm sorry, I added a T in there. Yeah, it's
I was gonna say
Tidus.
Tidus would be Titus.
Well, it's like the show Christopher Titus. That's the only reason
Yeah.
why I pronounce it that way is because it's like Tidus, Titus.
There's a magic card coming out for it. I think that's neat. He gets a whole commander deck.
I don't care.
So does Cloud.
I care a little bit more about that than I do the other one. But
Oh, wait, sorry,
still.
I'm breaking the rule. No magic.
No magic.
No magic.
Shut up.
I'm sorry.
Stop talking
hard.
about it.
I work in a game store.
I mean, sure, but there are like games all around us that are not magic.
Yeah, there's the other thing we're not supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, there's that.
Great positioning.
Um,
But no, I don't know. I'm a sucker for video games that have really long cutscenes because there's so much story to be explored in an interactive medium.
I am a sucker for games that have a really good storyline.
Sure, like Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, I enjoyed, and haters gonna hate. I didn't think Andromeda was as bad as everybody made. Now, technologically, it was terrible.
I think story-wise, it was also a little rough.
Story-wise, it kind of just slowed down, but I didn't think it was a bad game. I don't think it was as bad as people were making out, because I felt like a lot of it was hate just for hate.
Well, yeah, there was a whole other thing with that.
Right.
My issue with Andromeda, because I played through it, and I've played through every Mass Effect game that's out. Andromeda didn't have super compelling characters the same way that
I will agree with
1, 2,
that.
and 3
I will
had.
agree. It was very much so that like the main character was
It had Marvel writing before Marvel writing was fully taking off. It was a lot of very quippy, which the series was kind of already getting a little bad about it at times.
Yeah, I'd say in 3 there was a lot.
3 it started to get really, but 3 it at least felt like there was some payoff to it because
you played through it. I have to ask,
okay,
what kind of person are you? Did you save Caden or did you save Ashley?
Are we talking just like original first playthrough?
First playthrough. Did you save Caden or Ashley?
I saved Ashley.
You horrible person. I know. I hate you.
I saved
the racist. The racist.
A xenophobe, literally.
A xenophobe.
Literally a xenophobe. I was like 12, 13.
Fair.
I saved the woman. I don't think I even interacted with Caden like once outside of the prologue mission.
I totally saved Caden my first playthrough because I was eyeballing Liara.
As an adult, having gone back and played the games recently, Caden all day. Caden's a much better character.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But at the time, I was like, Ashley's the one I take on my team all the time.
See, I didn't. I always took Caden.
I played a what was it, specialist? Whichever one gave you a bit of biotics and tech.
Oh yeah.
That's what I mainly played. So I didn't need Caden.
Fair.
Because I already had biotics. So I would take Garrus and Rex a lot.
My first playthrough, my first character that I kind of made look like me, because that's what you do in a video game. Of course. You make characters look like other people. I ran with a biotic 100%. Straight up biotic. I was like, I want superpowers. And then I ran with Caden because I felt like he complemented a lot of the powers.
Because you were both superpower people.
Right. And then my secondary character was either always going to be Rex or it was going to be Garrus.
Which are the homies.
Yeah, the homies. Right. I think it was later on in the game that I started taking, instead of Caden, I started taking the Corrin chick.
Tali.
Oh, I love Tali.
Tali's great.
Tali's such a great character. I started taking her because she was tech. So I had tech, biotics, and then I used Garrus because he was sniper.
Yeah. Oh no, he wasn't a sniper yet. Sniper wasn't until 2.
Well, he did long range, right? So I did biotics. My main character did biotics. He was like the gun guy, and then I brought Tali as the tech, right? Yeah. So I had a little bit of each.
Yeah.
Right. And then same thing with like Rex. Like I switched Rex out and whatnot for Garrus if I like needed that big front line kind of heavy hitting.
Because he was like
ran
shotguns. Yeah.
Right.
Shotguns and pistols, I think, is what he ran.
So you saved Ashley the first go through, but after you got through it a couple of times, you're like, oh, okay, Caden's
the better character.
Who did you do in who was your team in 2?
Ooh, 2, like my go-to team a lot of the time would be
Because they had a lot of like
There was a
DLC
lot of
characters. There was a
characters.
lot of characters in that game.
I would bring along Thane,
Okay, I can see it.
uh, Legion.
Oh, loved Legion. Yeah.
Legion was probably my favorite character in that
Yeah.
game.
So Thane, Legion, which are kind
Uh,
of like your main ones.
Jack. Well, because I think because what it was a 4-man. No, it was still a 3-man.
3-man.
Okay, so no, so it would be I'd bounce between Thane and Legion
Yeah.
because they both kind of did the same thing.
Yeah, they were
but
kind of tech.
They were both like tech snipers.
Yeah.
And then I would bring along like Miranda or Jack, depending because they're just crazy biotic. Well,
I mean,
Jack especially is insane.
Jack
biotic.
is insane biotic. Miranda
Was a little bit of like the gun.
I'm not gonna lie, there was definitely other reasons why I took Miranda.
Yeah, Miranda was a
along.
great character for that.
But
Terrible personality.
who did you romance
in 2?
in 2? Because you could romance.
There was a
people in
lot
2.
of options. You could romance people in 1.
You could, but there weren't really like
There was
that
2
many
options.
There were 3. If you're male Shep, you could romance Ashley or Liara, and if you were female, you could romance Caden or Liara.
Oh yeah, because Liara was an option for both.
Yeah, she was an option for both.
In 2,
Yeah,
I think it was Miranda is who I went with initially because in 1
I'm a Tali main.
As
all the
funny
way.
as it is, in 1, even though I saved Ashley, I ended up romancing Liara.
Fair.
And so I couldn't get Liara because I'm talking just base game. This is before the DLCs
right,
came
base
out.
game before the
Before Shadow Broker
Shadow
DLC.
Broker. That's right.
Because then you could
Then
rekindle
get
that
her,
romance.
yep.
And it would carry over into 3, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, no, I think I went with Miranda.
No, dude, Tali is best girl.
Tali is great. Like I
Tali
love
is always
Tali's
best
character,
girl.
but Tali felt like so like she was so like she feels like a young childlike character in a sense in the first
she definitely
game.
was in the first game.
And in the second game, she's
She was, like,
definitely
17 in the first
grown
game.
up.
Yeah, and by the second game comes around, because it's a few years later. Like
It's been a couple of years.
it's been a couple of years because they all like Shepard dies in the
Yes.
first game.
Shepard dies at the start of 2.
Spoiler.
Shepard dies at the
That's
very
true.
start
That's
of 2.
true. He dies at the start of 2.
Yes, and then that's like
But
your
then
whole
it's like
prologue.
a few years later.
Yeah, when the Lazarus Project brings him back.
Right. So
How do you
she's-
feel about Mass Effect 4 being a thing?
I'm actually excited. I'm not like excited,
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to. I'm positive.
Because it's a continuation of the N7 stuff.
Right, because like I've seen the trailer,
Yeah, the couple that they've
little teaser trailer, right?
like dripped out.
Where it's the N7 armor
Yes.
and it's Liara, because though apparently Liara's race lives for like ever.
Yeah. The Asari.
Sorry, yep.
Yeah, Asari. They have like elf life.
Yeah, they're like 200, 300, 400
Yeah.
years old, something like that. But no, 4. I'm hopefully positive, mainly because they've had enough time to learn from their mistakes from Andromeda. They have enough time to learn from their mistakes from 3. They've put out a few other games since.
Yeah. With mixed receptions.
With
on
mixed
those.
reception, to be fair. But, like, I feel like these are very classic, very traditional characters. We're in an environment of, very back to form.
Yes. The games that have been performing very well recently have been a lot more of
Classic oriented.
don't shake up the foundations of things too
Right.
much. Kind of if you paint by numbers, sometimes it works out.
Right.
People are valuing more and more these days, I think, linearity in video games because everything has been open world for so long.
Nostalgia.
Well, I wouldn't even
It's a
say
lot
that.
of nostalgia. Like I would say it's a nostalgia, and my reasoning for it is because it's a lot of like going back to classic or traditional styles of games instead of like these new experimental games that keep coming out that have not been doing well, because the community is just not there for it. Like because the people that support a lot of like the games that are coming out often don't spend the money on the games.
No, well, because they keep wanting everything. That's the issue with new games. Everything is a live service. Everything is open world. Everything has a season pass. Everything has, always online features. And,
Right.
You
have to have your system hooked up to the internet, or
And
you
that's
can't
what-
play our game.
I think
even
that's
though
what
it's a
makes-
single player game.
Again, because the game that I have played the most of recently, Ultra Kill. It is an indie game that is made by like 3 dudes by like a super small studio.
What game is that?
It is like it's a boomer shooter. So think kind of like Quake. Doom-esque
like
shooter.
very classic,
It
old
has
school first
yeah,
person shooter.
the graphics are done in kind of like a PlayStation 1-esque style.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
It has really good. It's just really good frenetic energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fast paced. Like it's taking advantage of the fact that hey, you can play this on modern hardware,
Right.
so we can do bigger set pieces. The bosses can be a lot more challenging. You know, things don't have to run in like 4
What is it,
frames
like
a second.
cooperative or is it single player?
It's entirely single player.
First person single player?
Yeah, it is. The game doesn't take long to beat. I mean, you can beat the game in. If you're good at it, you beat it in like 2 hours. If you're like actually good, because it's a game that rewards speed,
Right?
Because you're ranked after every mission. So you know, I've been going through when I initially played, dude. It was like prologue, A's and S's, everything after that, C's and D's, and then it was like, oh hey, this game is like skill checking me. Like it genuinely wants you to experiment.
Right.
It wants you to figure out the weird things you can do with weapons and the fact that almost every attack in the game is parryable, which you know just adds such a layer of depth that you otherwise
gives you that like Souls-like feel.
Almost sure. It is definitely a game that rewards you a lot more than a Souls game for understanding the mechanics and kind of abusing them.
Yeah, Souls-like game. Your reward is I'm gonna kick you in the balls a couple of times.
Yeah,
again.
You only get kicked in the balls 3 times instead of 10.
Yeah,
you know. And I love Souls-like games.
Right.
You know,
I know you're a big fan of them.
I would put like Dark Souls 2
I've
and
never
3
been
like up there.
I've never been a big fan of them, honestly. Like just recently they redid Lords of the Fallen, and I played the first one for a bit, and okay, sure, but I've never been a big fan of the Souls-like games. I don't have the twitch reflexes that you need for a lot of them.
Sure. I would definitely not recommend Ultra Kill then, because that is a game that I didn't think I had carpal tunnel. I started playing that, and if I play it for more than like an hour at a time, I really feel it. So what I've been doing in that game and what's been consuming so much of my time with it is there's something you can get called a P rank. So perfect. Like you perfect a level.
Right.
I've been getting all of my P ranks throughout because if you complete all of Prologue and Act 1, all P ranks the whole way through, you'll unlock a special boss fight. And I went and unlocked the first one of those. There's a second one if you complete all of Act 2.
Gotcha.
As P rank.
So it rewards you for doing well.
Yes, and you get more lore, you get more, you know, get these harder boss fights.
Those kinds of games I'm actually down for, just because like when somebody does well in a game, it makes the rewards feel so much better.
Yes.
Because it's like, hey, you did okay, go back and try it again, and you can unlock this more.
Yeah. And because again, and what I like about it is it kind of does, I guess, like something that was popularized by the Souls games, where if you don't look for lore, you won't really find it.
Right.
Because the entire premise, when you boot the game up for the first time, your setup screen for setting up your options for the first time, it's like booting up the robot that is your main character, V1.
Yeah.
And then it hits you with 3 lines of text as once you're done with that. Humanity is dead, blood is fuel, hell is full. And that is everything you're given. Because you can skip every bit of dialogue from one of the few voice characters.
Yeah.
You don't have to read any of the little books you can find lying around. You're just a robot that runs around, and when you kill things, if you're close to them, it heals you. Because blood is fuel.
Blood is fuel.
So, hey, go at it.
I will say, you mentioned books. I am the kind of gamer that when I played through Oblivion the first time, I read books. I found I actually had in my player house, I tried to gather every single different book in the game, so that I could just sit there and say I had this entire library. I tried to do the same thing with Skyrim, and I just quit halfway through because it was so boring.
Have you seen the Brian David Gilbert video about reading every book in Skyrim?
No.
And then he did a book review on all of them.
That's funny.
It was very funny.
There's
a lot of text in those games.
Speaking of the Elder Scrolls,
I heard that they're doing an Oblivion remake.
They are remaking Oblivion.
I'm really mad
in the Skyrim engine.
I'm really mad they skipped Morrowind. Like, I'm very mad about that. Well, let me jump up and do my job really quick.
Yeah, hop up real quick.
We're almost at
We're almost
point,
at stopping time. Yeah, we got about 15-ish minutes or so left on the show.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? I'll let them peruse for a second.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can pretty much get to a wrapping up point here.
Fair. Like you really didn't have to get up too much today,
Yeah, I was about to
so
say. I think I've only jumped up like what once.
once, and it
So
was
you
for
know,
Logan.
yeah, love you.
Anyway, uh-huh.
Um, I think I held that like way down.
Way
Do it
down
up
to
here. Yeah,
yeah.
like oh yeah, hey man, you gotta actually like hold it up.
Anyway,
Um,
but yeah,
yeah,
so yeah, I definitely am big into like video games that have like a decent story to go
yeah,
through. I'm not a big Souls like fan. I
I
do
get
play
it.
a lot of roguelites.
Roguelikes are,
That's kind of been the genre that people have kind of
you
really
know.
jumped into.
Speaking about that, I've been seeing you getting a lot of achievements in Balatro recently.
I found out recently it's properly pronounced Balatro.
Balatro, because the developer is British.
Yeah,
It's Balatro. I'm just gonna call it
I
Balatro.
think these lovely fine folks are
Ready to
ready
check
to
out.
check
All
out,
right.
or at least to ask you
Here, I'll let
questions.
you defend yourself because I remember you saying that you didn't like that game. So go ahead and
I said
defend
I wasn't
yourself.
interested in that game, and then I it was on sale for like $5, and so I picked it up. I picked it up. It's $5, and everybody else was playing it. I'm the kind of guy that will play a game that's like super popular well after it was super popular. So, uh, yes, I've been gaining achievements in Balatro. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've played The Binding of Isaac. I've played Balatro. I've played honestly. What is that one? Gosh, what is that one? It's the one Hades. I don't know why I forgot that. I played the hell out of Hades, the first one. I got the second one, played a couple of hours on that one, and just kind of put it down because it didn't really speak to me the same way the first game did. Um, Beyond that, like I played a lot of Slay the Spire. I was a big fan of that one. I guess deck builder roguelites are kind of where it's at for me. Although one that I played recently was Inkbound, which I thought was pretty good too. So, yay, you guys get to just sit here and listen to me talk to myself. Normally, I don't have an audience for this, but active game store, what can you do? Let's connect. How have you guys been? How have you guys been? Have you guys been good? Has life been treating you well? I'm Dr. Fraser Crane, and I'm listening. Anyway, just over here rambling. Let's see. I think I'm pretty excited. I've been playing Monster Hunter Wilds a lot lately. A friend of mine kind of got me hooked back into the Monster Hunter franchise, mainly because like Wilds apparently came out and the controls are a lot smoother in it. I feel like as somebody who doesn't really play the Monster Hunter games a lot, like the last one I played before that one was Worlds, and I hated that game. That game was like so hard to navigate. I always felt like my swings would just go wide, left and right. The controls were very tanky, very slow to react. And I found out they intentionally did it that way because it was they were trying to get players to like really think about their moves before they did them. But beyond that, I only had played like Monster Hunter Tri back on the Wii, and I enjoyed that game. I played almost all the way through that whole game, and then life happened and things got in the way. But lately, I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter Wilds, and I've been getting kind of into it. I'm only like level 20, and I've been like not completing the required missions to rank up. So by the time I actually do complete it, I'm probably gonna rank up like 12 times. But beyond that, like I've been enjoying games like that. I kind of enjoy games that are like that progressive build where you can like get better based on the things that you do, the actions you take in the game. Um, I did hear recently that Baldur's Gate 3 just had their final DLC come out. That's another one of those games. Like, I really like the source material. I like the Baldur's Gate franchise. I thought the characters were really compelling. I thought the gameplay was really good, but I just could not get into it. Like after chapter one, like I got through chapter one only twice. The first time I played the game, I ended up not even making it to chapter two. Like when you leave the area and whatnot, I kept dying. I kept feeling like I was building the characters wrong. Um, I kind of felt like I was really underpowered when I was getting to the different places. I wasn't, it wasn't very clear to me like what I was supposed to be doing because it's a very open-ended game. Like there's a lot of things you can do, and there's a lot of things that you can miss if you're not paying a lot of attention. Um, so after like chapter one, that first playthrough, I kind of put it down for a while, and then a buddy of mine picked up the game, and we could do like the co-op thing where he created a character, I created a character, and so I decided to like kind of go with like a warlock, kind of go with a more direct damaging build, that kind of thing, and that one kind of worked out well. But we still only got to the very end of chapter one before jumping into the next chapter, and it still kind of felt clunky. It still felt like I missed a bunch of stuff, or like the choices, like because I'm one of those guys like if I have like a designated path in which I want to take in a game, and then something happens and kind of forcibly diverts me from that path, it's very hard for me to like go back and circle back around because I feel like I've missed something now. So for me, like a lot of the skill checks and whatnot were very much like a stopping point. Like I would have to save, go back, reload, try again, see if I could get a better result just to see what it was. So yeah, I'm a save scummer. Oh well, it's how I enjoy playing those kinds of games. Um, oh look, he's waddling back over. Are you rejoining me?
Maybe.
Are these people done with their torture and suffering, having to listen to me talk to myself?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. I come back just in time to
See,
basically
I
say
would be a
like
terrible like
to
video
say
game
goodbye
streamer.
because
Like,
you don't know what to talk about.
well, no, because sitting here talking to myself is something I do
You
without an
don't like doing
audience,
that, yeah.
and so
You're a little too
having one.
comfortable.
Um. Anyway, yeah, I was talking about Baldur's Gate 3 and like how many playthroughs I've actually done and how far I've gotten. I only got to like chapter 2.
You know, I finished Baldur's Gate 3 one good time. They just came out with their final update.
I just mentioned
Yeah,
that.
update 8, I think it is, which
It's
is
like their
crazy.
final like DLC or final update or
It,
something
yeah,
like
it's
that.
just they,
And
they
honestly, I feel like Wizards kind of burned that bridge
they did. That's why they would have
really
DLCs
hardcore.
planned. They had
Right.
DLCs planned, and
Because
then
like
they
Larian is an amazingly good good studio.
Divinity 2 is an amazing game.
Yeah, that's another one. Like I like the game, right? And this is what I was saying about Baldur's. These people at home know. I was sitting there talking about Baldur's Gate 3. Was that I liked the game. I liked the game. I had such a hard time getting into the game to like actually push it to completion.
I get that. It's an ARPG thing. Again, they're so front loaded with content
Right.
that you can burn out in Act 1.
Oh, 100%.
And then you're like, oh, let
That's
me
what
finally
always
progress
seems to
this
happen to
main
me.
story. And then you go, oh my god, there's still so much left.
I was about to tell him goodbye. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of how I felt about like Divinity 2, because like I got Divinity 2 when it was on sale. I saw that it had like a DM mode where
Yeah.
you could like create your own
Yeah,
story
which
with
is
your own
really
things
cool.
and have your friends play through it. And
Yeah.
me being this like perpetual DM for like most of my D&D
Yeah.
groups,
You were like,
and
this is
whatnot,
awesome.
This is awesome. I can like visually actually create the thing, and then I realized how much effort it takes to do that.
Yeah. Because you're
And I
basically
realized
playing
I'm like ADHD really, really hardcore. I've only recently started taking medication,
yeah,
so
it's like being a mini game dev.
yeah, I was kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I did hear they supposedly, before everything went down to Wizards the way it did, they had plans to do that with Baldur's Gate. They
Yeah,
were going to let people create their own little mini campaigns. They were going to give out tools.
yeah.
They were
That it was going to actually coincide with the
Yeah.
2024 rule set.
correct. A lot of the stuff they released in this last update, every class I think got 2 new subclasses.
Yeah, I do
a lot
remember
of
hearing
it's
about that.
new 2024 stuff, which has been really interesting and unique.
But like I said,
I've messed around with it a tiny bit, but that is also a game that I need like a week off. It feels like to get into the meat of it.
see, and that's the thing is like I haven't had a whole lot of time to myself lately,
Yeah.
and so like we were talking about earlier, like a lot of it is more bite-sized content oriented,
Yes.
and games like that take a lot of dedication
Yeah.
to like really get into. And for me, I don't have the time to do that.
Yeah.
And if a game is not just a single player game, it has that capability of
You have to
playing with
coordinate with
friends.
people.
You have to coordinate, and I if I'm playing a game that has the ability to play with other people, I want to play that game with other people.
Yes.
And it's like getting people coordinated, getting getting people that have the game,
Yeah.
and then actually being able to play with them, because like a lot of times, and I've talked about this before, where um, I am the kind of guy whose friends will go and get a game, and they'll
Yeah.
all get into that game, and they'll really like that game, and I either am not capable of getting the game right then and there,
Yeah.
or like I'm not really big into that kind of game, but I'll finally get that game,
And then they all stop playing it.
and then they all stop playing it.
That's happened to me a million times.
And then I will be sitting there going, "Hey man, I found this game. It's a lot of fun. Y'all, I want y'all to play it with me. I think you guys will enjoy it." And then I get a lot of, "No, we don't feel like it.
Yeah.
No, I don't feel like playing that game." Or I'm playing that game, but I'm already playing with another friend of mine.
Yeah. The last game that I let that happen with my friend group was Lethal Company. Because I found Lethal Company first and was like, "Hey guys, this looks like fun. We should look into it." And they all immediately bought it and started playing it. I'm like, "Oh, I need like a week," because at the time I wasn't working here. I wasn't making as much money, or I think I just started working here, but so I wasn't making what I am now.
Right.
Anyways, it was like, even though the game I think is only like $10 or $15, it was like, I don't have 10 or 15 bucks to spare right now.
Right.
I'm a broke
You've
college
got bills
kid,
and you're a broke college kid.
Yeah, like I need a week to pick it up, and they all just burned through it.
Right. And then by the time you're able to actually pick it up, they're all done with it.
And it wasn't even per se they were done with it, but they had gotten to such a point where it was no longer, haha, I'm goofing around with my friends. Mm-hmm. They took it so seriously. I'm like, oh, this isn't fun.
Right.
Like, you've sucked the fun out of the game already.
That's, let's see, the most recent thing that happened with, honestly, might have been Baldur's Gate 3.
I could see BG3. I could see Diablo being that way.
Diablo was very much that way.
Diablo
I know
gets
a lot of our local group here, right? A lot of our local group here was playing it, and I picked it up. I picked up the DLC. We did kind of. I still game with them. I'm not hating on anybody. I'm not hating on them at all. Like this doesn't really apply to them. It was more of just like I kind of got bored with it. I didn't have the time to play when they could play, right? Because a lot of them were on like second shift, and I'm on first shift. Yes. And so our schedules didn't really line up.
You can't be up till 2 or 3 in the morning playing games.
Right, because I'm old.
The classic.
Dude, I just realized earlier today that my birthday is in like 2 weeks.
Oh, happy early birthday.
And no,
no, I don't want that.
2025, and I was born in 1985. No, it's not going to be a great birthday for me. That is you remember back in the day when they had the over the hill stuff?
Yeah, you're going to get your AARP.
I always laughed whenever like one of my friends got close to it, or like my parents
and now you're there.
Over the hill. Well, I remember when my mom turned 40, and we threw her a birthday party, and it was a bunch of like all the black balloons that just said over the hill.
Yep.
And all the birthday cards, and the cake was like black icing with over the hill written on it.
And now you're like, man, I was kind of an asshole.
I'm there.
I don't like this.
And I'm like, oh, now the shoe is on the other foot. And I'm like, God, I'm there now. I can't believe this. I have a child. So yeah.
Don't worry. I have been painfully reminded by my parents. They're like, hey, you're closer to 30 than not. And I go, hey, don't say that. Because,
I remember being close to 30.
I did the silly thing. If any children, or not children, but younger people are watching this, don't take a gap year when you graduate high school. Not a good idea.
No, that's a terrible idea.
I did that.
You should totally not do that.
And that turned into like a gap like 3 or 4 years.
Fair.
Just working, because you get a job and you get bills, and then
and that's the thing is that when I was growing up, right, the big thing was go to college, get a good career, have a wife, 2.5 kids, white picket fence, right? That's what was just drilled into us, that like you cannot be successful if you don't go to
Yep.
college, right? That constantly drilled into us.
Yeah.
And then I took out student loans,
Yep.
and I sat there looking at like a $20,000 debt that I had to pay off
Yep.
now. And I only went to college for a year,
Yeah.
and it was 20 grand that I had to pay off.
Yeah.
It was
And
ridiculous.
just think, that school that you went to that was 20 grand then
Oh, it's
is
probably
a lot
even
more
more
now.
expensive because I went to Virginia Commonwealth University.
And that was in what year?
2003.
Yeah, it's probably gone up like a solid
Yeah.
10, 15K.
So looking back on it, I wish I just joined the trades right then and
Yeah.
there, because by the time I basically left college, I quit school, went back home. They were like, "You have to get a job. You're coming back home." My dad was very much so the whole, it's either school or a job.
Yeah.
So I went and talked to the neighbor. The neighbor was the treasurer of the local electrical union, and he got me signed up with the union, and I ended up becoming I went to their apprenticeship school.
Yeah.
And I spent 5 years in their apprenticeship school, but right off the bat, I was making like $8 an hour, which, to be fair, at the time,
Was okay.
minimum wage was like $6.
Yeah.
So
you know, you were making a little bit above
I
minimum
was making
wage.
above minimum wage, and I had no responsibilities but myself and a car payment.
Well, that's like I look at now, like, you know, all the apprenticeships that kick up around here.
Right.
That's part of the lifeblood of this area, you know.
Brother, who are you telling? Like, none of the jobs around here can really compete with working on
Yeah.
the base.
I'm very lucky to be in the position that I'm in, where
Right.
you know,
You make
I
a
don't-
decent amount
I
of
make
money. You
a
make
de- I
a
make-
livable wage.
yeah, I make, yeah,
And you're
I'd say
comfortable.
livable. Yeah,
I mean, you are.
compared to other
Less-
retail workers.
I was gonna say you are definitely like less bill heavy than a lot of people.
Correct. Just because of mine, but with at the very least the situation I'm in, it scales a lot better.
Right.
You know, I look at, because you know I used to work at a grocery store prior to this,
Yeah.
and I look at the
No, I
upward
remember running into
mobility
you at
through
Publix
that.
all the time.
Yeah, you know, and I look at the people there,
Right.
that are grinding away a lot harder to make less, and you know, and I recognize that I'm in a good situation.
Right.
I'm in a very good situation comparatively. But you know, also, but I work different hours than them.
Sure.
I'm here. It's always a trade, right? You know,
It's a trade off. You work some longer hours, but you have more days off than a lot of people.
yeah. For what?
Especially if you consider like half days and whatnot.
Yeah,
that you
half
end
days
up
are where I
working.
can start to play in. 'Cause
And you make like I said, you make a livable
Yeah.
wage working in a place that caters to your hobbies.
Correct.
And that's kind of like you said, that's like the trade-off. It's like I'm working in a gaming store, which is like straight up my hobbies, the
Yes.
things that I enjoy doing. The
you know,
things I
it's a
enjoy
job that
sharing.
a lot of people like want to have.
Yeah.
Which, you know, can a lot of people handle the job? No.
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 It's see,
Point
that's the
blank,
thing is
no.
that because from the outside it just looks like cool. You're hanging out, playing
Yes.
games,
And
and
that is not.
and it's not.
That is
It
a
is
small
a retail
portion
job.
of my job.
Right.
A very, very small portion of
And
the
honestly,
job.
like for the most part, I'm doing this job just to kind of help out because I know.
Doing stuff like this
Right.
is the easy part.
This is the easy part.
This is like the easy part of the day.
You know.
I just get to sit down and talk.
For anybody who is interested in getting a job at like a gaming store, like because that is like the teenage to 20ish dream, right? Is to work in a gaming store. You got to remember that this is still a business,
Yes.
and this is still retail. You still have to deal with customers. You still have to be able to handle the money, the accounts, the products. Being able to, you have to clean the store. You have to. And Braden is not a bad boss by any stretch of the word. Like I wouldn't even put him in the same category as bad bosses.
I've had some bad bosses. He's not one of them.
Trust me, I know. I'm almost 40, as I've stated earlier, that I've had some bad bosses before, and he's not. He's very chill, very relaxed about a lot of stuff. There are some things that he's very particular about.
But that also helps the store, I feel like.
Right. It's the biggest thing is he's not wrong about a lot of the gripes, right? And that's kind of also like the biggest kind of kick in the nards is the fact that he's not wrong about a lot of the things that he gripes about. But at the same time, to be fair, he's a really good boss, and
he takes care of us.
Working in the gaming store is a lot of fun. Yeah. And I started doing this as kind of a favor to him because we're friends. We knew each other outside of the game store because we used to work together when he was in the Navy. Yeah. And when we had a reduction in workforce, a sudden reduction in workforce. he's like, hey, I need somebody to be here to help out because my main guy is in college on 2 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I need somebody to come in and just kind of watch the counter for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm already here most of the time anyway. Sure, I'll help
Yeah.
out.
Jump on it.
And then, one thing kind of led to the other, and we started doing the podcast that we were talking.
Yeah.
We were talking about this kind of show for almost a year.
Yeah.
And then we finally sat down and did it. The 2025 was going to be the year of our big social media push,
which it's been
which
pretty
it
successful.
has. It's been really successful. I'm really glad to see it. Like, have
Yeah.
you seen the numbers on the
Yes.
D&D show?
Yeah, I have. And, knowing that, like, we got our first big Twitch payout.
Right.
Which was nice.
That this is actually becoming viable.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes, I work Tuesdays and Thursdays to help cover, when you're in school.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I do a lot of side stuff. Like this last weekend, I ran a Learn to Play for D&D.
Yep.
For adults this time. I usually do the kids one,
Yep.
but I kind of wanted to take a break from the kids and try out the adults and see how that went. That went super well.
I heard it was a lot of fun.
But that's more time and dedication and
Yeah.
things that I'm giving to the store.
Yeah.
The podcast, I love doing the podcast. I
Yeah,
love coming
it's
and
fun.
sitting down and doing this. This is fun. But that's more time off of my plate that
Yeah.
I'm dedicating to the store. So it's like, I know we talked about it recently, and I may be leaving the store soon. Like, we're looking at possibly hiring on somebody else.
Yeah.
And
we're playing with the idea.
we're playing with the idea. I'm not solid on it yet.
Yeah.
I'm not solid on it yet. But a lot life happens, dude.
It does. It
And
100%.
this was always meant to be something that was, I'm helping out a friend.
Yes.
I'm getting paid to do it, so I'm not like altruistic about it or anything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, this was always meant to be temporary. This was temporary to step in, kind of help out.
Yeah.
And even if I do leave, like, I know you all are going to miss me. Even if I do leave, I'm not leaving the show. Yeah, I know. Not at all. We have a couple of people,
That head
a
shake,
couple of
just
our
the immediate-
regulars in the store, and they're like, no, screw
No,
that guy.
yeah,
He's an
no.
asshole.
You brought that one out.
Fair. I am kind of snarky when I'm behind the counter,
Just a
but it's
smidge.
only with the regulars who know me, right?
Yeah.
I've had a
Everyone
couple
just
of
has to
people.
be a
I've had a
regular.
couple of people tell me like they came in and they weren't regulars and they heard me
They
kind of being
weren't ready for
snarky,
it.
and they just were not ready for it, and just kind of was like, oh wow, that guy's kind of a dick. I'm like,
It happens.
It happens. But
You have to
anyway,
have
like,
good
even if
energy.
I do kind of step away from like the actual job portion of it, I still plan on being here for the show. I still plan on helping out with the D&D show.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still behind the scenes with that. I'm still helping with the tournaments and things like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, if there's any time that Braden needs a hand, just kind of stepping in, somebody to come in and just kind of watch the counter or whatnot on, like, Swab and Dex. If he needs
Yeah.
somebody to come in to sit for Swab and Dex, I'll be here.
Cool. Yeah.
I'll be around. It's not like I'm just going away.
Can't
It's
believe
just, I know
Nick's
a lot,
gonna
like,
die.
yeah, totally. I'm just gonna, just commit.
Turn
seppuku.
40 and just gone.
Turn to dust. Turn to dust in the wind. Just,
Thanos snapped. Yep.
so,
But
I'm still gonna be around. Still gonna be doing things. I'm still gonna be helping out the store. So
yeah.
it's not like I'm going to be gone. But to be fair, like, I kind of need more time to myself, especially right now.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, you're buying a house and everything.
I'm buying a
like-
house. I'm trying to spend more time with my kid
Yeah.
because she's getting older. She's not getting any younger. She's
Correct.
getting older as the days go by. I blink and she's 10.
Yeah.
I blink again, she's going to be graduating high school.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of life is coming up. So it's not my farewell, but I
Take a step
feel
back.
like I need to reduce the amount of time
Yeah.
that I'm spending in the store.
I get it. Trust me, I get it.
So
I'll just
I know
keep
we talked
ramping
about
up.
it, and this is not going to be a surprise to Braden.
No.
And it's not guaranteed yet.
No,
We're
yeah.
still kind of feeling it out. We're still talking about it.
It's all in motion still. But-
It's a lot of like moving parts and spinning plates.
Yeah.
So,
But you know what? Somber note to start wrapping things up on.
fair.
Because I think.
Well,
We're
yeah,
hitting that
it's about
point.
1:36. 1 hour and 36 minutes on the timer. So, stay tuned next Tuesday.
This
Coming
coming
tomorrow.
Tuesday. Yeah,
Tomorrow. I
tomorrow.
keep forgetting. It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow at 7:00 we got the Swab and decks, so be sure to tune back in for that. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I
think
saw
it
one of
will.
the decks that they're kind of putting together for it. It's gonna be an Edgar Markov deck. So
I think it'll be fun. We might have just spoiled that. Hopefully none of them watch this.
spoiler.
Oh man, we have 3 viewers. One of them might be.
Oh God.
One of them might be Joey or his buddies.
Beyond that, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for
for
coming
hanging
by
out.
and hanging out with us. Talk a little bit of life, a little bit of nerd stuff, kind of what we always intended this podcast to be about, was just kind of
Yeah.
us life in the game store and nerd stuff.
And next week, I'm sure we'll talk about.
We'll probably go
something.
right back to Magic and Star
Magic,
Wars
Star
and
Wars, One
Lorcana. I
Piece.
know the Lorcana Store Showdown's coming up May 3rd.
Set championships coming up. One Piece
Oh yeah,
has
it
a
is
set,
set
release
champion is
soon.
what they're saying. And then yeah, the One Piece release, which
So,
you
you
know,
know.
honestly, I'm considering giving that game another shake. Another
Well,
try.
we're talking about doing a learn to play event soon. So
That might be
Yeah.
might be fair enough to get into. But anyway, I'm Nick the Red. With me as always is Tyler P.
yes, no fancy
No
colors. after
fancy
my
colors on his name. T Money.
name. Hate it. Not good at all.
Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next week.
Take it easy.